Namaste, everybody. Coming in live from Louisiana, we have Z here with us today, and today we're going to be talking about the reality of the 24-hour Antarctic sun confirmed. There is a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction that's happening with the flat Earth community, so-called community. We put that in quotes, and a lot of people are experiencing something that we call cognitive dissonance. What do you think about that?
Dude, you said it, man. I mean, I can't think of a better term. Maybe cope would be a more like modern
Opium?
colloquial way to put it. Copium, man, smoking the copium, and we're going to get into it certainly. But hey, Notch, somebody has to do it, man. Somebody has to come on and kind of just say it like it is, you know, help people get past their feelings, their hopes, their dreams, their postulations, their concepts, their theories, and get down the real world, bullet meets the bone reality, man. Physics, practical demonstration, demonstrable reality, and people who know my name, Zetetic Warrior, I took that name for a reason because to be Zetetic is to proceed through inquiry. It's basically asking questions. Some people could look at it as almost like Socratic in nature. The idea that one should be consistently questioning their world, their reality, challenging their preconceptions, and endeavoring to falsify their belief systems. And that's really what it comes down to, and there's a degree of spiritual and intellectual and emotional courage for anyone endeavoring in this journey, because we as men and women are naturally emotional. We have biases. Our emotions are what make us human. They bond us to each other so we can survive and thrive. We are communal beings by nature, but there's a flip side to that coin. Our emotions can be used to for exploitation from and by those who may have particular agendas. So, how can we get past our inherent biases, get by our emotional responses, and approach this world with a degree of objectivity? And this is a journey. So, hopefully, we can all do this together and, really get past the nonsense, get through the fog and the bog of people's spins, people's agendas, and really get down to what is a true thing versus a false thing.
This is what we're here to talk about, the reality of the 24-hour sun. And, people will say, well, it's not possible, or maybe there's a simulation sun or simulated sun down there, or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it seems to me that they have known about it for some time. But the question that I have is that why didn't the flat earthers know about it? Because we perhaps had some assumptions about how the celestial was working. And then we kind of stuck to that idea that there is a circling sun, right? And then, of course, with the circling suns, it has to do some weird, gymnastics to be able to go down to Antarctica. And also, on top of that, I don't even know if the AE map is 100% accurate, though, either. So, I'm not going to make any positive claims about the fact that the AE map is absolutely correct. I mean, I adhere to it. It seems to be okay, but I don't know 100%. So that's something that we could talk about as well.
Well, the operative term that you mentioned there was positive claims. For one to make a positive claim about anything regarding any topic, one should be able to substantiate the claim, all right? Which basically means to prove it through evidence, objective evidence, evidence that could be validated, things that could be actually measured, things that could be repeated, whether it's through scientific experimentation or mere observation. Okay. But this idea of those who have continually made affirmative statements, positive claims regarding this world, which we are finding out now lacked really any evidence. For example, this positive claim that has been made for the last 9 years by the prominent gatekeepers in this community regarding the 24-hour Antarctic sun, or lack thereof. For anyone who's been in this community for any degree of time, you understand that there has been a consistent narrative, a mantra almost, of no 24-hour Antarctic sun. We know now with certainty that the 24-hour Antarctic sun exists in their summertime. That's my feeling. Put it this way, Notch. I wouldn't bet against it. I wouldn't bet my life against it. Put it that way at this point. Now, it begs the question, as you brought up a few minutes ago, why? Why is this such a bombshell to the flat Earth community? And there's really only one answer. It's because the prominent flat Earth community gatekeepers, think about them what you want, have been promoting an idea, a conception, a theory, and a model that contraindicates the possibility of the 24-hour sun. So in service to their model, in service to their agenda and their narrative, they have consistently rejected the information presented to them that was contrary to their model. And we have evidence of this now. We have multiple content creators that have come to us and they've provided receipts who tell us that since 2017, they have been informing the prominent FE gatekeeper content creators of celestial data that went against their, begging the question, reified model. These content creators were vilified, smeared, even to some degrees gang stalked out of the community. Lies were spread about them, falsehoods, and everything else. And again, it begs the question, why did they do this? Why? Why did they reject this information? Why did they continue with a narrative regarding the absence of a 24-hour Antarctic sun when we know now, and Notch will prove tonight, completely exist? We know it's there. You can go there, guys. Austin and Jaron and Lisbeth are going there. You can too. If you have $31,500, you yourself can go there and witness the 24-hour Antarctic sun, just like hundreds and thousands of people have for well over a century now. And we're going to get into the details more. Now, anybody after this stream that wants to continue smoking their copium, I'm looking at many creators at this point, you will have no legs to stand on. And I'm sure Nachiketa, will be very vigilant in holding you accountable for the things that you say. Because after this period, and certainly after December, you cannot be a flat earther and disregard the 24-hour Antarctic sun. I'm personally not going to let you do it, because you are leading this entire community down a fallacious road where your intentions are going to have to be called out and scrutinized. Because if you are to be a flat earther from this point on, you must incorporate the idea of a 24-hour Arctic sun, because to do otherwise would be arguing against observable reality. Now, whatever you think the sun is, whatever you think the sun is doing, that's besides the point, because we can all have our ideas, our theories, our concepts, our postulations. But it's besides the point, because it's a known reality and you're foolish at this point to argue against it. And the real question, Notch, moving forward is, are the prominent FE gatekeepers going to continue down this road of deception, or will they pivot somewhat, swallow a little bit of the humble pie, embrace a degree of humility, and just simply state, okay, we were wrong about it for whatever reason? Much like the Zetetics in the early 1900s stated, regardless of the 24-hour sun, which we admit we remain flat earthers, level earthers, because of demonstrated reality. I do not find these things to be mutually exclusive. Now, of course, the Globers are going to claim they are because it's convenient. Or people like Jaron, who's a Glober, who I shouldn't even point him out because he is a Glober. These people will say that this is a mutually exclusive idea, and that, of course, now the globe would be the reality. I simply disagree with that. That's it. I disagree with this false binary idea that a 24-hour sun invalidates a flat earth and proves a globe model. Now, this is a difference of opinion, but what we cannot ignore anymore is the 24-hour Arctic sun. And it's embarrassing to the community. And as I pointed out previously on Notch's stream, the 24-hour Antarctic sun was admitted by avowed flat earthers in 1904, 120 years ago. Now, regardless of what one wants to say about the book Zetetic Astronomy, Madame Blount, Albert Smith, the so-called Zetetics from that time, you can argue about it. But the reality is these people at that time were very frank and candid about the 24-hour sun. They said it was validated not only by Globers, but even espoused Zetetics at the time were able to tell them there was a 24-hour Antarctic sun, which in modern times, or at least in what we can say in recorded times, was noted in 1898. Okay, so look, everybody, this is something we're, as a community, going to have to embrace. We can't continue in a community that's going to run away from this topic, because it has been the avoidance of this topic that has led us to where we are today, where we basically have a monster hit piece and mockumentary about to be launched on the flat earth community, precisely because this topic was ignored.
Okay. So I just want to do a little bit of a recap and kind of, let everybody know how we arrived to where we have arrived. What Will Duffy has said, that he came to the realization that the point that the both the globe earthers and the flat earthers seem to agree on is that the flat earthers, the prominent ones, the influencers, have been basically saying that there could not possibly be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And the reason why they came to that conclusion is because of the circling sun, as we have already addressed. Now, the globe earthers have always said that there is 24-hour sun, so it becomes a mutually exclusive situation for the people who made the claim, and the people of the circling sun and the flat earth and the AE map, and then the people who are globe earthers, basically. So I think he did a fantastic observation of just really picking up on that, Will Duffy, and whether he is paid by somebody else or he is his own man is irrelevant to the point of what the final experiment is really about. Okay, so this is the reason why we have arrived to where we have arrived now. Now, you can argue, why did Jaren get chosen or Whitsitt was chosen, and they all have the stories about it. Dave Weiss was initially the one who was chosen to go. He refused, right? And then Eric Dubé is doing a little bit of a backtracking now, as we know. And then we don't really know what the positions of other so-called prominent flat earthers, but we know what Jaren's position is quite clearly, and we went through it, numerous times over here. We also went through what Witz's position is, which is that he's not going to flip necessarily, but then he might be kind of curious about how that's working. I'm not going to make a positive claim of how the celestial is going to be working. However, some people are going to say like, well, somebody in the chat was saying, well, that no, they did not admit there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. They admitted there was
Yeah.
reports of a 24-hour sun in
Yeah,
Antarctica.
let's
Okay.
address this, Notch, because there's
Yeah. Yeah.
people in
Go
the
ahead.
chat, and I want to do so with compassion. Because
Sure.
fine, if you want to make myself and Notch Chiquetta the fall guys for your emotional response, that's fine. Like the one person says, idiot Z, 24-hour midnight sun was never proved. Zetetics just accepted the rumor idea as possibility. Listen,
Hmm.
I'm going to speak to you in compassion. I'm not going to take it personally, even though you called me an idiot. This is a fact at this point. Look, Notch is going to go into the evidence, all right? But you have to stop with your cope. Maybe it's going to take you a couple days, a couple weeks. Maybe you need to turn your computer off, go do something for a week or two and think about it, because this is, look, whoever said that in the chat, you yourself can go there and witness the sun, just like hundreds and thousands of people have at this point. And the other person that said no, they did not admit there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. They admitted there was reports of a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. No, they admitted it because the reports were also coming from Zetetics. But you're another one I'm going to cut you slack, because I don't blame you for expressing your emotions on me. You're just going through a stage of trauma and shock,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you are
Coping.
emotionally, yeah, you're coping. You're emotionally attached. Look, we're going to present it. We're not, Notch and I are just aren't out here like talking to you guys. This is a fact, guys. There's a 24-hour Arctic sun. You can say what you want about me. You can call me names. You could say lies about me. You could talk. This doesn't change the information. Okay.
No.
You yourself can go there and see the 24-hour sun, just like
Yeah.
Jaren and Witsit and Lisbeth are going to do. So
Right.
you're not helping the community anymore by doing this. If you really want to deny this 24-hour sun, save up your your pennies, get your 31,000 and go down it, or don't talk about it anymore. Or just believe the evidence that Nachiketa and I have been providing you. Believe Jaren and Witsit and Lisbeth when they tell you after they return. Don't call them liars. Don't call Notch a liar. Don't call me a liar. Don't call all the people who've ever been to Antarctica and witnessed this a liar. Don't call the sailors that confirmed this in 1898 liars when they went down there on their expedition. Don't call those presenting the SunCalc data liars, which has proven to be true. Nobody has been able to disprove the SunCalc data, which admits to a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We can't let people get away from this topic, because this is the very thing that's going to be used to discredit the FE community from this time forward into the future. This is their big play. Now, regardless of how we got here, regardless of why the FE gatekeepers avoided and basically ran from this topic, either they lied or they were mistaken or whatever their interests are, regardless of those factors, we are here now. And I will repeat this. If you want to be a flat earther moving forward from now to perpetuity, you must recognize a 24-hour sun, or you are actually harming this community.
All right. Well, so look, guys, I mean, like, I think the grace period is really up till, Jaren and Witsit and Lisbeth probably comes back. I mean, like, everybody's going to be just kind of holding on to their, speculation about whether or not the 24-hour sun is in Antarctica. Now, what our intentions is regarding this information is that, we collected information from like the book, and you can say, well, the book is fake, and uh, this is backdated. They print it out later, and they're just kind of preparing everybody for the 24-hour sun. And people will argue that there hasn't ever been a legit video of the 24-hour sun. If they can fake space, they can fake Antarctica, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to disagree with those kind of ideas per se, but again, this word, the preponderance of evidence of, like, people actually going to Antarctica and spent, like a season there, like, we have McMurdo camp that's 24 hours. So, like, and then the same sentiment could be like, well, there are people who work for NASA and they believe that space is real, right? But it's a slight little difference because, like, people are actually being sent there and they live there. So if they're in a kind of a studio of some kind, and a large amount of area is kind of, I don't know, controlled by some kind of a environmental thing, that has to be addressed as well, I guess, how that can be done, and et cetera, et cetera. But as far as I'm leaning it, like the sun calc data, and people have observational sun data, like where they're living in southern part of Australia, southern part of Africa, southern part of South America. That is also extra bit of information, basically confirming that the sun calc is correct, which also means that the circling sun cannot possibly be. They are mutually exclusive. You cannot have both the circling sun and have the circling sun, traveling between Cancer and Capricorn. And in those areas, it should be seen rising in the northeast and setting at the northwest, when in fact they're seen rising in the southeast and setting in the southwest, right? So further you go south, it seems to be correct that the Antarctica, the 24 astral summer sun is there. Okay, so that's keeping we have to keep that in mind. Another thing that I want to add before we continue is that how the reason why we are doing this at all is that we are trying to prepare the people who are willing to listen for the possibility, the real possibility, that there is going to be a fallout after December. Okay. And this community is a little bit shook. There's a little bit of a divide. A lot of tension is going on. And we're addressing that, like head on. We're not keeping that and shuffling that under the carpet. We're going to just deal with it as it's happening. Right. We've been a big part of that, like talking to Will Duffy, talking to other people who is part of it, and then we understand more or less what their positions are. We got our ears out, and listening in to everybody we possibly can. The reason why we are doing this is because we are passionate about the truth, and we believe that it is important for people to come to some understanding of what might be happening. And it is a mystery, again, that I don't know what's happening up in the sky. Okay, only thing that I can make a claim about is the fact that the earth is level. Okay, that's the only claim that I can actually make. Okay, so like come December, I think, again, like, let me repeat myself, it would be naive for people to think that there isn't going to be some kind of a Netflix deals, like documentaries, book deals, and stuff like this, and then CNN and BBC, you name all these mainstream media channels, they're going to run with it, right? As we
Yeah.
should expect that they're going to do. And Lisbeth and Jaren and Witz's faces and names are going to be out there, and then they're going to have probably different responses to seeing the 24-hour sun, which is going to be documented in one degree or another. And people are going to have to face the fact that this is going to be part of the deal that we're all going to be experiencing. Go ahead.
Oh man, I agree with you, dude. 100%. And that's what Notch and I are doing. We're here presenting this to you because these are the facts, and how you choose to incorporate this information and proceed moving forward is going to be on you. I don't know, Notch. Maybe we should get into
Sure. What should we go for? What should we do?
your new findings.
Yeah, should we go to the email?
I think we should at this point because
Yeah.
we have to give our receipts, man. And
Yes, yes.
we have to lay out our reasoning and why we're
Mhm.
here. Like people are saying, like, yeah, the globe was confirmed, and like I could see the Jaren apologist here, so I almost don't even want to reference you, but yeah, the globe was confirmed when I was 2 years old when my parents hung. No, no, no. And the other person says, yeah, Mars on rovers, rovers on Mars have been confirmed. Men on the moon have been confirmed. No, see, here's the difference. You can't go to Mars.
Yeah,
You can't go to the moon, but you can go to Antarctica. Just like Jaren and Austin and Elizabeth are going to Antarctica. Just
yep.
like McKeegan and FTFE and whoever, the Globies, they're going to Antarctica. They can't go to the moon and they can't go to Mars, but they can go there, and so do you. So can you.
Yeah.
Notch and I have looked at the evidence and individually have come to the same conclusion. But we spent the time, the hours, we've had the conversations, we've looked at the evidence, and this is where we are. And my position is the 24-hour Antarctic summer sun exists beyond a reasonable doubt. Regardless of what you think the sun is, who made this place, who you consider the creator to be, what you think the sun may or may not be, all of those things are secondary.
What if we're correct? Let's just consider that possibility. What if we are correct that they do see the 24-hour sun as we are betting? Like we are both thinking that there's a high degree of possibility because like you take no 24-hour sun, right? Then what does it prove the flat earth for the globe earthers? I mean, like we know that seeing the 24-hour sun doesn't prove the globe for us, but this isn't for us. The final experiment was never for some of us, like the who are hardcore, flat earthers and level earthers, because we understand the false dichotomy that's involved. It was not meant for us. It was meant for the people who are still sleeping to what's going on. So, like, yes, we don't know what the result is until it actually happens, but we have a very good guesstimate. Let's just say we have a good guess and speculation about like what's likely to happen. So let's get into it. Let's get into the email. And I contacted Will, and he sent me the email for his contact named Stephanie, who works for the ALE. She did not reply, but I did get a reply from this guy by the name of Steve Jones. Okay, and in the email, so this is the one I will share. Steve Jones, as you can see, works for um, he works for ALE. Okay, so I asked him some questions. So he says, "Hi, Nachiketa." So I'll just read it out if you guys don't mind. I apologize if the question seems naive or disrespectful, but my intention is to have clarity on the matter. If there is a 24-hour circling sun in Antarctica, when is it first observed? Which month? For how long? Which direction does it go? Let's start by stating this very clearly. Yes, there is 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica in the austral summer. One of the fascinating things about the North Pole and the South Pole is that they only have one sunrise and one sunset per year. At the South Pole, the sun rises at the September equinox and then stays above the horizon 24 hours a day until it sets 6 months later on the March equinox. The South Pole is then in darkness until the next September equinox. The further north you travel from South Pole, the length of 24-hour daylight will vary. We, ALE, only operate during the astral summer with 24 hours of daylight in which the sun is in the sky all the time. As a British person accustomed to the northern hemisphere, I used to find it odd to see the sun in the north, but soon got used to it. I think he meant the south here. I think he wrote not correct, right? So where our base is on the Union Glacier, there are mountains on both sides of the glacier, and nearly and late season, the sun will pass behind the tops of a couple of mountains in the small hours, around 3 from memory. When this happens, the temperature drops. If you travel towards the middle of the glaciers, you have an uninterrupted view of the sun above the horizon 24 hours a day. The many expeditions that ski short and long distances to the South Pole each year have uninterrupted views and have direct sunlight 24 hours a day unless it is cloudy. This is all explained better than I can on the cool Antarctic website. So we can go there. Do you have any videos that you can share with me from the company regarding the 24-hour circling sun? Do you have any comments thus far, Z, or should I just continue?
Well, I mean, nothing other just than to say, man, for anybody who's not understanding what Notch is saying here, Notch contacted the company, this ALE, like anybody can do. You can do it too. And they're going to report the same thing they reported to Nachiketa, that this is an obvious thing that anybody who goes down there knows. This man has been down there. I think he said 2004. So that's 20 years. This guy's been down for all the astral summers. And he confirms the sun rises in the September equinox and it sets like in March. And it's above the horizon the whole time if you're far enough south. Typically, beyond the 80th south latitude. All right. And I guess, people who want to say, well, what about how we saw the doctored 24-hour sun images that Jaron and Dave Weiss showed us 4 years ago? Or, guys, forget about that. Yeah, maybe it was doctored. Maybe it's not. Maybe somebody just told you it was doctored. But at this point, moving forward, again, you're not helping anybody. You may be emotionally trying to deny this, but you're not doing anybody any favors. And you're the ones playing in, as you ironically say that Notch and I sold out to Duffy, which is completely hilarious. You're the one that's playing into their hands, because the more you double, triple, and quadruple down on this 24-hour this impossibility, the 24-hour sun, the more you're playing into the Globies' hands, because all they have to do is show you that there's 24-hour sun, and now you've played into their mutually exclusive false binary experiment. So let's see what this says. Z and Notch should explain how a 24-hour sun can work on a flat Earth, or are they going to accept the globe like Jaron? No, the difference is Notch and I are not considering this a mutually exclusive observation. It's the same thing I said in the beginning. You guys aren't listening, which is fine because you're emotional and you're triggered right now. No, you are in a false binary mindset. You're the one who's showing the cog dis. You're the one who's falling for a false binary, because you think by embracing reality that somehow invalidates the thing that you know is true, that all standing bodies of water lie level and horizontal. See, you're projecting your mindset onto Notch and myself. We're presenting our case very clearly. We're admitting there's a 24-hour Antarctic sun because there objectively is. And we're stating what the early Zetetics said in 1904, that this does not invalidate the observable, demonstrable world that we inhabit, a world in which the globe is physically impossible. Guys, the reality is this: the globe does not get off the ground. The globe theory has no legs because it's impossible. You can't have oceans sticking to a rotating, convexing globe. That's impossible. All right. The theory of gravitation is impossible. That doesn't change. But if you're going to be a flat earther moving forward, you're going to have to be a flat earther with the understanding that there's a 24-hour sun. That's it. Now, if you can't get by that, then you're the glober. Don't project that on the Notch and Keta and myself.
What we are talking about is that we cannot debunk the sun calc, right? The sun calc is telling us that the sun seems to be local. Whichever location that you are in, that observation of whatever that's happening up in the sky, with the celestials and the sun and the moon, seems to be very much dependent on the location that you're in. So whatever that you see is like gonna change based on that location. Okay. So it's locally based, is what I think is happening. Now, when you go down to what we call Antarctica, right? Whatever that place is, they are going to objectively see a circling sun. Now, what that means to me is that they don't need to do this sun simulator thing over there. They had the circling sun down there already for a long time, and they knew about it. Okay, they knew about it. But I think what could be happening is that they kept it like kind of quiet. Nobody normal like us could go to Antarctica unless you have a shit ton of money to go to Antarctica and be an explorer or whatever. But then they like how long the circling sun on an AE map have been around for? Probably 10 years. right? Like, the first people that I know of were like, Matt Powerland, Eric Dubay, and Mark Sargent, and then Dave Weiss was quite prominent, and then Glowbusters, and then Jaron, and then Witsit. These are the big names within the flat Earth community, and I think very pretty much all of them, as far as I know, talked about the AE map and the circling sun, and everybody has bought into that hook, line, and sinker. Vast majority of the flat earthers. Okay, so that rhetoric has been going on for years and years and years, and I was just assuming this rhetoric just the same. AE map, circling sun. Excuse me. AE map, circling sun, but I never question those ideas because I just assumed those things to be true. What we are trying to propose now for today is that we should come to the point of accepting the fact that there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. That doesn't make us like in like line with Will Duffy. No, we're showing that we fucked up at some point, okay? And I think that's the right thing to do, is tell everybody that we as a community, we as a group fucked up somewhere, and we need to let everybody know this is how we fucked up. That's what we're trying to do.
That's what being honest is, man. Look, if you're going to investigate anything, regardless of what it is, even if it's something as big as the shape of this world, you have to be honest with the evidence. You have to look at the available evidence, evaluate it, and make particular decisions based on it. That's all we're doing. What Nachiketa is showing you is he contacted this company just like you can. And they're claiming, yes, this is obvious. Everybody who comes here sees it. Are you contending that this email that Nachiketa is reading is some way untrue, or that the man is lying to him? Because think of the audacious lie that this would be. This is the company saying, of course, this is why Will Duffy has had the duper's delight on his face the whole time.
He
Will
knows.
Duffy, exactly, Notch. Will Duffy from day one knew the outcome of this.
Yeah.
See,
Yep.
see what I mean? Because the outcome is what it is. It's just, this
He
is a reality.
takes no risk. He takes no risk whatsoever of what he's doing. There's zero risk what he has done. He gave you the false binary, and then people said, "Oh, I'm going to make a claim about this," and then they're like, "Okay, fine. Like, I got everybody from ALE and government and observational data on my side, and you had access to that information. Actually, anybody could have had access to that information, but for years and years and years, everybody bought this idea of the circling sun, and it's impossible. It's impossible for the sun to be circling around in Antarctica, and everybody just believed it. And we're paying for it now
Right.
collectively. We're paying for it now.
And this is where it needs to stop. And this is why Nacha, Kedit, and I are so persistent with this message, because it has to stop now. Because we are going, you can continue down the wrong path, or you can realize you're on the wrong path and turn around and reset your course towards the truth. Plain and simple. And to springboard off of Nachiketa's point, this false binary was not invented by Will Duffy. Will Duffy picked it up by your flat earth gatekeeper content creators, who for the last 9 years have said that the 24-hour Antarctic sun is impossible on a flat earth.
Don't be surprised if and when Austin, Jaron, and Lisbeth see the 24-hour sun, because I'm betting you 99.99% chance that they are going to do it. And the Globies also know the fact. Will Duffy know the facts. And ALE know that fact, like everybody fucking else. Now, how is that working on the, the flat earth? I don't know. I'm not here to tell you how it's working. I'm trying to figure that out myself. So that's where I'm at. All right.
Great point. And one of the foundations of being zetetic is that there's no compulsion to replace an idea that has been falsified. That's logically inconsistent. Just because the 24-hour Antarctic sun seems to falsify a particular model that you've been presented with from the FE gatekeepers doesn't mean that Nachiketa and I now have to give you some other bullcrap model that would be unevidenced and unsubstantiated.
Yeah,
I
that
can
would
get
be irresponsible. That would
it
be
would be
irresponsible.
Notch, because here, Notch. The reality is, I have my ideas, my postulations on what this the sky could be, but
Yeah.
they're my ideas, man. I can't substantiate them, so I'm not going to promote that.
Yeah.
See? So, and again, I want to reiterate that this false binary was not Will Duffy's idea. The false binary was created by the flat earth community, at least the prominent ones that you see here on YouTube. Will Duffy, or whoever his organization is that he's working with, just picked up on that false binary and understood how it could be used to manipulate and exploit the narrative. Plain and simple. But this false binary was created by flat earthers on record in 2017, 2018, and beyond, who have said audacious, unsubstantiated claims like there is no 24-hour sun, and even further have verbally stated on the record, they have stated that a, quote, 24-hour Antarctic sun would prove the globe and debunk the flat earth. That's not my words. That's not Will Duffy's words or Nachiketa's. That's these prominent flat earthers who are on record saying that. Now, does that mean it represents me, Notch, or are you listening? Of course not. That's their words. Mr. Duffy picked up on this and, in an ingenious way, is using this positive claim that was unsubstantiated to now perpetuate the globe narrative.
Like you being a quote unquote flat earther, it means that you are holding yourself to a higher standard. That higher standard means that we haven't arrived to that absolute objective reality because we're still uncovering information that we have not yet have access to. But that also means that we're our intention is to humble ourselves to whatever data that has been given to us. We're not above the truth. The truth is going to we have to be under the truth and then look at the truth and be like, wow, that's interesting. I don't know how that is or why that is. Like just the same as me saying that I don't know how the circling sun happens in Antarctica and in the North Pole, and then they're going in opposite direction. It seems to match the globe Earth model, but I'm not going to say that it's the globe Earth model because I look at the ground and see the levelness of the ground. There is no evidence of curvature as far as I'm seeing. So how to marry those two ideas together of how the celestial is working with the level Earth, that's what is perplexing me. I want to figure it out. Maybe we will get a key to understanding how that is working. Maybe we're working close, but we have to admit to the fact first that that is what's going on. We cannot move forward, individually and collectively if we do not adhere to this idea. Okay, so part of this is the TFE where people are going to see the 24-hour sun. And if and when they do, I'm saying that they do, Z is saying that they will, I'm saying that they will, then how are you going to be? How are you going to move forward? And the people who are the prominent influencers within the flat earth community, they better have some freaking answers that is really good because they have responsibility to the people, their audience, the people they've been talking for many years. I'm not even talking about months. For many, many years that they've been talking about this. And then if they don't have like a giant statement for people and telling everybody, hey, I fucked up, I was wrong, right? And then I'm going to have issues with them. That's the thing. That's what we're talking about. That's like holding people accountable. Yeah. All right. So let me continue. Every long duration visitor to Antarctica has been reporting the long months of daylight alternating with long months of darkness for the last 125 years since the Belgica, I think, Belgica. We try
Belgica,
to pronounce
sorry, yeah, Belgica,
Belgica.
Belgica. Did you want to spell that for people so they can look it up, Notch? Because this ship, this Belgica that this man
Mm,
is referencing in this email that Notch is reading,
mm,
is the
mm,
same ship that was referenced in the 1904 book Zetetic Astronomy by Albert Smith and Lady Blount. Okay, so this is the second time in a week we've referenced this expedition to Antarctica that was there for a year from February of 1898 to March of 1899. You have to understand when they would do these expeditions, whether it was the Arctic or the Antarctic, Sometimes during the winter times, okay, whatever place they were respectively, sometimes during the winter, the boats would get frozen in and they'd have to stay there until their summer melt. This Belgica was the first recorded expedition to Antarctica where they referenced the 24-hour Antarctic sun, or what they called the midnight sun that never set. Not just sunlight. They're very specific, just like this man Steve was very specific to Nachiketa. The sun is above the horizon. The sun can be visualized above the horizon 24 hours a day. Okay, so this Belgica, you can look it up. It's an expedition. Now, you can claim that maybe these sailors lied. Maybe they did. What you can't claim is that to this day, people are still lying because you yourself can go there.
So let me continue reading the email. So the Belgica expedition was the first to overwinter in Antarctica. The 24-hour daylight in summer is as commonplace as breathing. So there is no evidential requirement to prove something that is self-evident. I think for this reason, there are not lots and lots of videos of the sun going around for 24 hours or more. I have seen several time-lapse photographic sequences. We flew a group of visitors to see a total solar eclipse in December 2021, and there is video footage from that at Union Glacier. There's a good read about the Belgica expedition called The Madhouse at the End of the Earth by Julian Sachon. I just had a look on YouTube and see there are 24-hour sun and midnight sun videos and time lapse filmed at Haley Station and Scott Base and elsewhere.
I'll reiterate what I've been saying, my fundamental thesis on this whole thing. We were presented with a number of flat earth content creators that very early on, Nachiketa seemed to have formed a coalition of some sort, and then presented a consistent narrative around a model, which can basically be, presented as the circling sun over the AE map, which is very simplistic and sophomoric upon explanation. For whatever reason, this model was promoted to all of you from this group of people who seem to have been in league with each other. We are now in a situation where that model is being falsified. The question is, do these people have the integrity to admit that their model, or at least the simplistic understanding of this model, has been falsified and debunked? Can they pivot and can they embrace true things? That's going to be the interesting thing moving forward. And then we're going to have to see how this thing plays out, because my understanding and my belief at this point is this is going to severely shake up whatever this FE community is. Notch, this kind of is going to level the playing field, in my view, for the people who are really the ones in here. Now, look, if you're a big content creator and you're going in front of like Jim Brewer and Roseanne Barr, well, yeah, you're going to get the eyes on you and you're going to get the people who really don't know it. But if you're going to continue to promote a false model, those people aren't going to be flat earthers for very long. Because what you're doing, you're actually lying to them, just like the Globies are doing. So this is kind of the come to Jesus moment, for lack of a better term, Notch. This is kind of like the reckoning, so to speak, for the community after almost a decade. And I think this is a reminder regarding the principles of what it is to be zetetic, is to understand that it's not about postulation, conjecture, theories. It's about what can be demonstrated, what is real versus what is false.